The universe is beautiful, but it is not kind. Everywhere, light drifts across an endless sea of silence. Galaxies bloom like frozen fire, their stars scattering ancient heat into the abyss. Nebulas unfold like petals in slow motion, birthing suns that will one day die alone. The cosmos looks serene, like a painting hung outside of time, but beauty is not safety, it is camouflage. The truth is colder than space itself. The universe is not your home, it is your executioner. From the moment you were born, entropy began to pull you apart, not by violence but by indifference. The laws that sculpted galaxies and stitched atoms together were never written for you. They are blind and deaf and perfect. They do not care if you understand them. They do not care if you survive. You are a brief interruption in the eternal slide from order to chaos, a flicker of structure in a universe that hungers for collapse. Everything about your existence violates the odds. Life is a rebellion against the natural course of things. Atoms should not organize into cells. Cells should not form consciousness. Consciousness should not ask why. And yet, you are here, breathing, thinking, dreaming, a miracle balanced on a knife's edge. Because just outside the thin bubble of your atmosphere, the universe is trying to erase you. Radiation pours invisibly from stars, gamma rays crackle from distant black holes, and cosmic rays slice through space like invisible bullets. If Earth had no magnetic shield, your DNA would unravel in seconds. If your sun were slightly more unstable, your oceans would boil into the void. If gravity were just a little weaker or stronger, there would be no atoms, no stars, no time. The universe does not want you dead. Wanting is too soft a word. The universe is built in such a way that your death is not only likely, it is guaranteed. The Earth is not safe. It never was. It spins through a shooting gallery of ancient debris, asteroids, comets, fragments of forgotten collisions. Some are small enough to burn in the sky. Others are big enough to end everything. 65 million years ago, a rock the size of a city plunged into the Earth and turned forests into ash. The dinosaurs never saw it coming. Neither will you, but extinction does not need fire. It can arrive slowly like a breath held too long. Supervolcanoes simmer beneath your feet, capable of choking the sky with ash and starving billions in silence. The climate swings between ice and flame, indifferent to crops, to civilization, to prayers. A single mutation in a virus can redraw the borders of history. One heartbeat too slow, and the balance tips. Even the stars are not safe. They are engines of death as much as light. When massive stars die, they do not go gently. They explode, releasing more energy in a moment than your sun will emit in its entire lifetime. If a supernova ignited close enough, it would sterilize the Earth before you had time to look up. A gamma ray burst, two neutron stars colliding, would erase the ozone layer, blind the sky, and leave you defenseless under ultraviolet fire. And no one would know why. Just a sudden silence forever. Yet you still exist. Against everything you endure, that should not be possible. And yet, here you are. A species with soft skin and brittle bones, crawling out of caves to split atoms and sculpt gods. You were forged in a place that wants you gone, but you remain. Not because you are strong, because you are fragile, and fragility adapts. Your ancestors were hunted, starved, frozen, drowned. They died in childbirth, in famine, in war. But still they whispered stories into the dark, lit fires, and watched the stars. Something in you refuses to yield. That defiance is not random. It is ancient. It is carved into your blood. Every cell in your body carries the echo of survival. Not triumph, just survival. You are not the universe's favorite child. You are its orphan, and like any orphan, you have questions. You look into the sky not for comfort, but for answers. What is this place? Why is it so violent, so empty, so cold, and why, despite all of that, does it still feel like home? Time is not kind, it does not pass, it accumulates. In the stillness between seconds, a particle is born in a place it can never remain. It moves because it must, it decays because it has no other choice. The universe is not a thing that exists, it is a thing that happens. Motion is the only constant. From the first breath of light to the last sigh of heat, everything is unfolding, not toward a climax, but toward a silence so complete it cannot be imagined. The stars are not eternal. They are echoes. And you are living in the afterglow of a fire that is already dying. In the beginning, there was no matter, no light, no shape, only energy, pure, directionless, angry. Then expansion tore the fabric of nothingness into something. That first instant, too fast for time itself, stretched the void until it could cool, and from that cooling came the seeds of everything: quarks, hydrogen, simplicity. The universe was smooth, boring. But imperfections, tiny as breath on glass, became the cracks through which complexity could grow. Gravity pulled on those flaws, stars ignited, galaxies spun themselves into spirals, black holes punched holes in reality. But even now, billions of years later, the universe is mostly empty. Most places are dead, and most deaths go unnoticed. Stars collapse inward and vanish, leaving only gravity behind. Galaxies drift apart like lovers in a fading dream. Signals from alien suns stretch into silence as the fabric of space thickens and cools. Time makes corpses of everything, and yet, here you are alive, blinking in the darkness. That fact alone is the great insult. If the laws of physics were slightly different, just 1 part in 10 million trillion, the atoms in your body would never have formed. The strong nuclear force, responsible for binding protons and neutrons together, balances on a razor's edge. A tiny shift, and there would be no carbon, no oxygen, no you. The gravity that holds you to the earth, the electromagnetism that makes your heart beat, the quantum rules that let neurons fire, all of them must be exactly what they are, or nothing like you could ever exist. This is called the fine-tuning problem, and no one understands it. Some say it's coincidence, others say it means something more. Perhaps there are infinite universes, each with different laws, and you just happen to live in the rare one where thought is possible. Or perhaps what you call reality is the only one, delicate, improbable, and utterly alone. Both answers are terrifying. One says you are meaningless, the other says you are impossibly rare. Neither offers comfort. Look up, not just at the stars, but beyond them, past the noise of familiar light, into the shadows that stretch between galaxies. There, in the spaces where even starlight dies, you will find questions too large for language. The observable universe is vast 93 billion light years across, but that's only what you can see. Beyond it may lie an infinite wilderness of unreachable galaxies, each full of dead stars, cold planets, lost civilizations. Time has erased their names. The past is buried beneath light that will never reach you. If alien life once thrived, if cities once glittered beneath other suns, then entropy has already claimed them. Radio signals decay. Machines rust. Memory dissolves in radiation and dust. Perhaps there were minds once greater than yours, who solved the riddles of the cosmos and reached out with trembling hands, but no one answered. Not because no one was listening, but because in this place all voices are eventually silenced. Even black holes, the final monuments to mass and motion, are not immortal. They radiate energy slowly, so slowly that to witness their death would require waiting until the stars themselves have all burned out. But wait long enough, and even black holes evaporate into nothingness. The universe will become dark, flat, and cold. No structure, no energy, just a thin soup of fading particles stretched across expanding nothing. This is the heat death, the final state of perfect disorder. No possibility of thought, no spark to ignite, a graveyard with no mourners. But that is not the most unsettling part. What haunts most is not death. It is the illusion of safety, the illusion of meaning. The way life seems to bubble up from nowhere, create beauty, and then vanish. Why does the universe allow that? Why do the laws of nature permit love to exist in a place where nothing lasts? Why can a species invent poetry on a rock that could be crushed tomorrow by a wayward stone? Somewhere deep inside the equations of physics, there is a paradox. The rules that govern all matter lead inevitably to collapse, and yet, out of that collapse, consciousness arises, it watches, it suffers. It dreams of more. What is the purpose of a universe that gives birth to witnesses, only to ensure their extinction. Why bother making anything at all? Perhaps the question is wrong. Perhaps the universe was never made. Perhaps it is not a thing with meaning, but an accident that repeats itself forever. But even then, the question remains, why does that repetition include you, you who cry and hope and bleed, you who reach for light in the dark, you who build stories to defy silence? Why are you here? The stars do not answer. The galaxies keep their secrets, and black holes, ancient and hungry, swallow both light and memory without remorse. So the question remains, not just how you exist, but why. Why would a universe built for death ever allow something like you to live at all? The deeper you look into the universe, the more it looks back at you with silence. What you see when you look at the stars is not now, it is always then. Every photon that touches your eye has traveled an impossible distance, trillions of kilometers, millions of years, just to die on your retina. Some of the stars you see no longer exist. Some exploded before your ancestors first spoke. You are haunted by ghosts of light. The present, in cosmic terms, is almost unreachable. And yet, the deeper we look, the more questions arise. Why is the sky so dark if the universe is infinite? Why are we not surrounded by the voices of other civilizations? Why does everything, even life, seem so temporary? Like a firefly blinking in a void it can't understand. To answer these, science must become more than theory. It must become revelation. Take entropy, the measure of disorder in a system. It sounds abstract, but entropy is the heartbeat of time itself. It is the reason you age, why ice melts, why stars die, and why every memory you have will one day vanish. Low entropy means structure, temperature differences, possibilities. High entropy means stillness, sameness, silence. The universe began in a state of impossibly low entropy ordered beyond imagination, and ever since, it has been sliding toward chaos. Every heartbeat, every breath, every star that burns down adds to this invisible tide. The second law of thermodynamics doesn't just say that disorder increases, it says it must, always, relentlessly, until there is nothing left that can change. So why did it start so ordered? No one knows. It's as if the universe was born with a secret written in its bones, one it refuses to share. Then there's time. We experience it as motion, aging, cause and effect. But in physics, time is not a flow. It is a dimension like width or height. According to Einstein's theory of relativity, time does not tick the same for everyone. Gravity bends it, speed distorts it, move fast enough and your seconds stretch into minutes. Sit near a massive object like a black hole and time slows almost to a stop. At the edge of a black hole's event horizon, an observer would see the universe race forward in fast motion, stars forming, dying, galaxies colliding, in a blur of impossible speed, but inside nothing escapes. Not light, not information, the black hole swallows not just matter but history, and they are everywhere. Lurking at the heart of nearly every galaxy, including your own, are supermassive black holes, billions of solar masses crushed into a single point. Some are quiet, others spin and feed, releasing jets of energy that tear across millions of light years. They are not just destroyers, they are architects. Without them, galaxies would not form, stars would not gather. Life might never have emerged. That which kills also creates, and this is the pattern again and again. The stars must die to make planets. The planets must be bombarded to become fertile. The violent chaos of the universe is not separate from life. It is its soil, yet this creation is cruel. Planetary formation is a process of collision, not design. Rocks smash into each other at tens of kilometers per second, fusing through violence into new worlds. Sometimes the result is Earth. Sometimes it's a lifeless desert. And sometimes the entire process ends in catastrophe. A wandering planet ejected from its system. A solar system shattered by a nearby supernova. There is no intention, only consequence. Your solar system formed about 6 billion years ago from the debris of older stars. The sun ignited in the quiet cradle of a molecular cloud. Around it, dust spiraled into rocky planets and gas giants. Earth was one of many, chosen not by fate but by chance. Its position in the habitable zone, its stable moon, its protective magnetosphere, all improbable, all necessary, and none guaranteed. It gets worse. In the vast structure of the universe, galaxies are not scattered randomly. They form webs, filaments of dark matter and gas stretching for hundreds of millions of light years, threading together clusters like beads. These cosmic webs grow thinner over time. As the universe expands, the spaces between galaxies widen. Eventually, distant galaxies will shift so far that their light can no longer reach us. Future observers will see only an empty sky and believe wrongly that their galaxy is alone. They will never know how vast the cosmos once was. Information itself is being pulled apart by the expansion of space. This leads to a chilling realization. We live in a brief window of visibility. We are among the few generations that can still see the broader universe. 100 billion galaxies, each with hundreds of billions of stars. One day, all of them will vanish beyond the cosmic horizon, not because they moved, because space itself grew too vast to cross. The lights will go out one by one, not in flame, but in forgetfulness. And through all of this, no voice answers. This is the Fermi paradox. If the universe is so vast and life can emerge from physics alone, then where is everyone? There are trillions of habitable planets. Thousands should be older than Earth. Even at sublight speeds, a civilization could spread across the galaxy in tens of millions of years. A blink on cosmic scales, so why do we hear nothing? Perhaps life is rare. Perhaps intelligence is fleeting. Perhaps civilizations destroy themselves or become quiet or fall into silence before they can speak. Or perhaps they are out there watching but refuse to be seen. There is another possibility, one that bends the stomach, that we are not early, we are late. Maybe life once flourished across the stars, civilizations born and burned before the earth had cooled. Maybe they explored, built, created things we cannot imagine. And then entropy came for them. Maybe the silence is not absence, but aftermath. Maybe the universe once sang with voices we'll never hear. Your intuition says the universe should be full of contact, conversation, community. But physics suggests isolation. Light is slow, distances are too vast, time is too cruel. The cosmos may be alive, but lonely beyond measure. This loneliness becomes personal when you realize your body is made of atoms forged in stars that exploded billions of years ago. Iron from supernova, carbon from red giants, hydrogen from the Big Bang itself. You are not just in the universe, you are of it. You carry in your bones the memory of cosmic violence. You are the child of catastrophes. And still, the paradox deepens. Out of all this death, all this decay, life arose. Not once, but possibly many times. On Earth, it took only a few 100 million years for life to begin after the planet cooled. If life can begin quickly, why does it seem so rare? Even our own planet, teeming with life, offers warnings. Over 99% of species that have ever lived are extinct. Dinosaurs ruled for 165 million years, then vanished in an afternoon. The Earth has reset itself more than once. Mass extinctions, climate flips, supervolcanoes. Life is not protected, it is tolerated, and humanity, so new, so brief, is already playing with forces it does not understand. Artificial intelligence, genetic modification, climate transformation, tools that could either save or erase us. Our intelligence gives us power, but not wisdom. That perhaps takes longer. So here we are, a species with dreams larger than its lifespan, a brain evolved to fear predators and find food, now staring down black holes and pondering the death of time. We are not equipped for this knowledge. It overwhelms us. And yet we keep going, asking, searching. Each answer gives birth to more questions. Each discovery opens a deeper wound. The closer we come to understanding, the more fragile we seem. Why would the universe permit such beings to exist? Beings who suffer, who love, who dream of eternity in a world designed for impermanence. Something does not add up. Something is missing. Either the universe is wrong or we are. You are never meant to last. The universe does not hate you, but it does not love you either. It does not see you. It cannot. To it, you are smaller than a spark in a glacier, fleeting, unrecorded, unseen. Your life is a flicker on the skin of a dying world orbiting a middle-aged star in a galaxy that will one day be forgotten by everything. The silence is not personal, but it is absolute, and still, here you are. You think in centuries, the universe thinks in billions of years. You think in memories, it moves in entropy. You want a matter, it wants nothing. It is not a thing that wants. The deepest truth is this: the universe is not a place designed for life. It is a machine for making black holes from the first moment, the first trembling instant after the Big Bang. Everything has moved toward emptiness, toward simplicity, toward death. Stars are temporary. Galaxies are temporary, even atoms decay. The heat death will come, time will flatten, no energy will flow, no thought will spark. It will be still forever. Every star you see is already dying. Every breath you take is a theft from the void. Every word you speak is a defiance of silence. This is the law, the truth, the revelation. You are not safe, you are not expected, you are not welcome, you are an accident of physics, and yet you remember. You suffer, you hope. That is not physics, that is something else. There is no equation for love, no formula for the ache of a song, no model that can predict the way a child looks at the stars. These are not survival mechanisms. They are side effects of awareness, symptoms of consciousness, evidence of something the universe did not plan. You were born inside a system collapsing into entropy, and still you build, you wonder. You reach for what cannot be touched. Maybe that is the point. Maybe life is not the purpose of the universe. Maybe life is the question it accidentally asked. It tried to make stars. It made you. Your body is a message from time to itself. You are made of stardust. You carry in your chest the ash of 1,000 dead suns. In your lungs is the breath of planets that will never form. You are ancient in ways you cannot feel, and young in ways you cannot survive. But still, you speak, and that changes everything. Imagine the heat death, the final silence, the last proton decayed, the last light absorbed. Now imagine that before it came, for one impossible moment, the universe knew itself. Through you, through your thoughts, your fears, your tiny, beautiful hands clutching at infinity, that might be enough. Maybe the universe did not want you dead. Maybe it needed you to be alive, just once, to witness it before it ended. Maybe you are not the center, but you are the mirror, and in your gaze the cosmos saw itself. That is not nothing, that is everything. Earth is quiet tonight. Somewhere, a child sleeps beneath artificial stars projected onto a ceiling. Somewhere else, a woman stands at a window and listens to the wind, wondering where her life has gone. In a field no one visits, a single seed waits for spring. On a mountaintop, the last snow of the season melts into a thin stream. 1,000 lives unfold at once, unaware of one another, all of them brief, all of them extraordinary, all of them impossible. From a distance, Earth is pale, fragile. Just the right size, just the right distance from its star, just the right pressure and gravity to hold on to oceans, forests, breath, and yet it does not feel perfect. It feels temporary, like something borrowed. It is the only place we know that loves life, that shelters it, that makes room for memory, for laughter, for firelight stories and first kisses and hands held in hospital rooms. Here, on this one planet, matter has learned to feel. To dream, to cry, and yet it is not protected. The Earth has no shield. It floats in vacuum, exposed to radiation, to impact, to accident. Asteroids have struck it before, ending stories by the millions. Volcanoes have blanketed it in darkness. Ice has crawled across its surface like a slow, forgetting hand. The sun will swell one day, boiling the oceans into space. But we will not need to wait for that. We carry our end with us. We are clever, we make tools, we make fire, we split atoms and rewrite DNA, we reach for Mars. But in all our genius, we are still children with matches walking through a house of leaves. We can destroy this world faster than any asteroid, and yet we don't have to. If there is one gift buried beneath the terror of cosmic knowledge, it is this: we know we are fragile, we know we are rare. We know what the stars are made of, and we know what happens when they die. We know how lucky we are. That knowledge is not a curse. It is permission to care, to protect, to try. A flower blooming in a radioactive wasteland is still beautiful. A child learning to read under a collapsing sky is still sacred. A species that knows its death is coming and still chooses to love is something this universe has never seen before. The stars are not watching. The galaxies will not remember, but we are here now, and that means something. It means we can choose what kind of story this is. Maybe we are not the heroes, maybe we are not even the main characters. But we are in the story, and as long as we are here, we can write a different ending. We can choose to build, not burn, to listen, not shout, to create, not consume, to plant trees we will never see grow, to teach children we will never meet, to preserve beauty in a universe that tends toward dust. Every species on Earth fights to survive, but we are the only one that can fight for something, for justice, for kindness, for the future, for each other, and perhaps that is what makes us most alive. Not our tools or language or science, but our ability to love something we cannot keep, to mourn what has not yet died, to imagine what might yet be born. This is our responsibility. Not to the universe, it does not care, but to ourselves, to the ones who come after, to the memory of everything that came before. We are the brief light before the dark. Let it shine wisely. Somewhere in the far dark, a star is born. It spins into silence, nameless and unnoticed, as light coils inside it like a secret. Around it, cold dust begins to stir. Worlds form slowly, blindly, without witness. 1,000 chances rise and fall before anything breathes, and still the furnace glows, still gravity sings its quiet hymn. The universe does not hurry, it does not explain, it simply waits. Time is its deepest element. It carves galaxies like rivers carve stones, slowly, endlessly, without meaning. It does not want, it does not choose, it moves, and in moving, leaves behind the wreckage of what could have been. Broken stars, lost planets, life never begun. Even beauty here is a side effect of collapse, and yet, somewhere in this silence, something strange happened. A species woke up. It did not know what it was. It did not know where it came from, but it looked up. And in the darkness, it saw patterns. It gave names to lights. It told stories about its own smallness, and in doing so, it became something more than matter. It became memory and grief and longing. And still, the universe did not speak, not because it could not, but because it already had. The stars were never silent. The void was never empty. Every black hole, every pulse of radiation, every trembling atom was a word in a language older than breath. A question repeated across eternity, will anything listen? And for a while, something did. For a while there was Earth, a world of forests and oceans and minds bright enough to ask why. A planet where entropy paused long enough for wonder to happen, where dust learned to think, where molecules learned to weep, where a single voice, human, fragile, flickering, spoke back to the cosmos not in calculation but in awe, and maybe that was all it ever needed. Not worship, not mastery, just one heartbeat recorded against the silence, just one whisper, we saw, we tried, we were here, and then, like everything else, it will end, the stars will dim, the atoms will split. Time will flatten into noise, and the story will fold into itself, like light vanishing behind an event horizon. No one will be left to remember, no one will be left to forget. But for one breathless moment in the life of everything, the universe knew it had been witnessed. And that is the echo that will never fully die, not in light, not in time, but in the shape of the silence that follows.